Hi, my name is John.
And my name is Lloyd.
And we're the hosts of The Pint,
a pop culture podcast.
Lloyd, if you had to tell any of the people out there that might be listening to The Pint for the first time about anything unsavory or disconcerting we might do on the show, what would you warn them about?
Well, sometimes we drop spoilers, and sometimes we swear like motherfucking sailors.
Fuck yeah, we do. You heard it from him. You've been warned.
Listen in.
We'd like to see Dr. Jeremy Stone, please.
Well, I'm Mrs. Stone, and we are having a party. May I... Does that man have a gun?
Ma'am, we must see Dr. Stone.
No Pint November is fucking over. Let's get into it. It is Pint Insider December. My name is John.
And I'm the fucking manster.
That's right. We're back. Guess who's back? Back again. Shady's back. Tell a friend. That's right. The Pint is back after a nice month off. Manster, did you have a nice month?
I had a nice month. Yeah, I got to watch some movies that I wanted to watch. I got to watch some shows. I actually went out to a movie.
Nice.
I went out and saw Heretic.
I saw that as well. Yeah.
At your suggestion, and I thought that was great. Hugh Grant was great.
Great movie. I really enjoyed that quite a bit. Yeah, it was nice just to kind of reset a little bit. When I was telling you, when I came into this room to record, I realized I haven't sat at this desk in probably 3 weeks. I did record one episode coming up for The Insider with Stu and our buddy Mike Wallace. But unfortunately, other than that, I didn't have time to edit anything. I actually even missed getting an episode out because I think I tested negative, but I'm pretty certain I had COVID.
Oh, yeah.
About a week plus ago. I was the same thing as when I had COVID during COVID. Very mild. I was fine right away, but I lost the sense of taste totally. It's coming back right now, but it's been about a week of pretty much, and that's what makes me think I had COVID. And the test that I took expired in 2022. So
yeah, I got a stack of tests. I think we got them this year, but they expire pretty quick.
I took the test. It said negative, and then I looked at the expiration. It said September of 2022. So we took our break. We're back. Finish off the year of 2024, and as I said at the beginning, it's going to be Pint Insider December here. So we do requests and we do dedications. Requests is where an insider asks for us to do a movie, and dedications are where we find out what somebody likes and do the movie for them. This first episode is a request from our good buddy Chris Ramirez. Who said, "Hey guys, why don't you fucking do 1971's The Andromeda Strain?"
Thank you, Chris. I appreciate that.
As Chris is a board member and one of our bosses, we said, let's do it. So let's talk about 1971's The Andromeda Strain.
Hey! Fire it up! 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 Fire it up!
Let's do it for Chrissy.
Yeah.
Andromeda Strain, released on March 12th, 1971. Before most of y'all were born, I bet.
Yeah. Yep.
Directed by, I don't know, auteur, but anyway, Robert Wise.
That's right.
Very highly celebrated filmmaker. He has Academy Awards for Best Director, Best Picture, for his musical films West Side Story and Sound of Music. He also did The Day the Earth Stood Still. You might remember that.
That's right. We did that. We did that. Yep. with Tim from Sour Grapes. Yes, we did. Yeah.
The Haunting, The Hindenburg, and another one we've done, Star Trek: The Motion Picture.
That's right. That's right. With Keith Larson. Absolutely.
And if that wasn't enough, he was also nominated for Best Editing for guess what?
I feel like I knew this, but I can't recall it. What was it?
Citizen Kane.
Wow, Jesus, fuck, this guy's old.
Oh, man. He was also the former president of the Directors Guild of America. from 71 to 75, and the president of the Academy. Ridiculous, right?
The only thing that would be more impressive is if this guy owned like I don't know, like 7 or 8 Pizza Huts in in California in the 70s. Other than that, Robert Wise, you can't do much better than you did.
Nope, not at all. You have to forgive my scratchy throat, man. I think I've been this way since like August.
Well, I had COVID and we made out last week, so it makes sense.
Screenplay by Nelson Gidding. Basically, he specializes in film adaptations and is also a longtime collaborator with Wise himself. He was on the scene, man. Born in New York City, friends with Norman Mailer, graduated from Harvard, was a World War II navigator on a B-26 plane that was shot down over Italy. Fucking spent 18 months as a POW, then escaped. And after that, he returned home and published a novel about it. Then he said, fuck this, I'm going to Hollywood and I'm going to be a writer. So,
how many Pizza Huts does this guy own?
He owned the rest of everything.
Okay.
He's been involved with The Haunting, The Hindenburg, Beyond the Poseidon Adventure, and a lot of other stuff that Wise was. So this is based on the book The Andromeda Strain by Michael Crichton. The novel was in 1969. The movie is 1971. So he sold the rights to that for $250,000 in 69.
That's a lot.
And speaking of 69, he is 6'9" tall.
I was going to say, I remember from us doing, I think, Jurassic Park that we had established that Michael Crichton was like a fucking giant.
Yeah. And I know we talked about it, but I enjoy a lot of his books. I feel like I read this book when I was like in high school. But
I've read multiple of his books. I've never read this one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The screenwriter, Nelson Gidding, he suggested changing the male character, Dr. Peter Levitt, to the female character that we get in the movie. And Wise did not agree. He did not like that idea. He didn't want it to be a like decorative female character for a movie, which was pretty common back then.
They certainly did not get a decorative female character.
Yeah, I am not going to comment on that.
I'll comment. She's a human potato, this woman.
But a lot of I read her bio and all that stuff. She's pretty good.
Yeah,
smart lady. And she was by far, I believe, the most interesting character in the movie.
Well, see, okay, so that's a possibility, but it's also, we'll get into the movie and we'll talk about why that's kind of a double-edged sword.
Yeah. And if you don't know what this movie is about, and if you're listening to this, you must have watched it. But if you didn't, it's basically the first movie of a contagion where a team of scientists investigate a deadly organism threatening humankind. Maybe not the first, but the first that did it in this manner.
Holy shit, I didn't even think about it. What if I had the Andromeda Strain last week?
Right.
Holy fuck, I never even thought of that. That's pretty timely.
I think it's pretty obvious.
That's pretty timely. Okay, good.
You had the Mandromeda Strain.
I had the Mandromeda Strain.
Filmed in January of 1970 in Shafter, Texas. What a great name. Shafter. Basically, that was the town of Piedmont, New Mexico. What was that population? 83?
68.
What was it? 68? It's so small. They're probably all related.
Well, I thought too, would this place even have a grocery store?
No,
right?
No.
Yeah.
Anyway, then let me say that again. Alamogordo, New Mexico, for some exterior shots. Red Rock Canyon in California, also exterior shots. And the laboratory was filmed in Stage 12 of Universal Studios. And that fine agricultural building was in Oquitolo Wells, California. They got some weird names out there.
There's a good Pizza Hut out in that town, too.
Yeah, yeah, right. It's owned by Robert Wise.
Yep.
Let's talk a little about set design and cinematography. The Wildfire laboratory set, in meticulous detail, I have to say.
Yeah.
It really featured like decontamination chambers, isolation rooms, and all that equipment. Very reminiscent of, I would say, 2001.
Yeah. Oh, this
Space Odyssey.
Yeah. This movie seems to be influenced by things like 2001.
Yeah.
But then also influences stuff.
You're right. Yeah.
Just to jump ahead real quick, the final countdown scene at the end was Alien. That was like, Alien got that. Not saying there had never been countdown scenes, but the woman's voice and the over the air countdown, I thought, wow, this is where Alien got this from.
Yeah. And I think a lot of like sci-fi cinema, like the realism and the suspense that's built into this. Although, I mean, I have to say, it's a little dry.
Okay, look.
We'll get to it.
We'll get to it.
It's not action-packed.
Oh, this is a dry fucking movie. I want everybody out there to do as they not should do, but if you listen to the episode and watch a movie after, or vice versa, however you do it, I still want you to watch the movie, but I will warn you, this movie is like a technical manual of a movie. This is a turkey sandwich on white toast with no mayonnaise. There's no vegetables allowed on it.
There's no cranberry sauce.
Nothing.
You
don't even
slide it down.
You don't even get a glass of water to slide this thing down. You're going to choke this turkey sandwich down. This movie is very clinical and very dry.
I do like the addition of the split screenshots.
Split
all those little
diopters.
Diopters? Is that what you call it?
This is called the split diopter, okay? Because I've always noticed these in movies, and our buddies over at Forgotten Cinema talk about them quite a bit. So what it is it's when you take a special convex lens and put it over the camera lens. And what that does, it's convex. So it's able to bring equal focus to things on opposite sides of the screen. If you think about a movie, a lot of times what's in the foreground is in focus, but what's in the background is not. And they might switch between. Split diopters make it so everything is in focus, including what's in the middle. This movie, at least for a time, I can't tell you it still is, held the record for split diopter shots at 206. There are 206 examples of split diopters in this film. And if you are a fan of Brian De Palma, he is known as a director that uses them a lot, but he uses them a few times in a movie normally. There's 206 in this movie. So, yeah, it's pretty interesting.
Yeah, very good. I like this style. Also, the special effects by a favorite of ours, Douglas Trumbull.
That's right.
Who I never had the chance to meet, but a guy I worked with did, because we worked in plastics at one point, and he went out there and got the whole tour. And man, I would have loved to have seen that. But, reportedly $250,000 of the budget was used for special effects.
Yeah, none of the graphics on the screen are actual computer graphics. They're like, I don't know, like paper.
That's so cool. Yeah. I watched a little feature of mine because I have the Arrow version, and that whole not so much the little picture of the what do you call it, laboratory?
Yeah, the
3D one with the sections and the spinning and all that. I mean, none of that was done on computer. That was done with just camera stuff that they did back then.
And this was Trumbull's, I think I read, first solo movie that he provided the optical effects for, and he majorly underbid. He even says, like, after he realized like he had done such a mistake, they got him for super cheap because he was just a young guy going into business for himself. He didn't realize what he was worth. And this was a major life lesson for him going forward. And I mean, he's the guy who, he worked on 2001 and, Star Wars to an extent. And he ended up becoming a director and doing movies like, what's the one with Christopher Walken? The one that Natalie Wood died on. What's that called? Brainstorm or something?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, he directed that. So, yeah.
Yeah. And I have a little other bit here, but we will talk about it when we get to the monkey scene.
Yeah. Oh, that's crazy. I know what you're going to say. Okay, good. All right.
So that's it for me. Who do we have in this? Who are all these superstars?
Bring me everyone. What do you mean everyone?
Everyone!
Hold your ass. This cast is crazy. They're also all dead. Everybody involved in this movie is dead. Nobody is alive. Arthur Hill plays Dr. Jeremy Stone. He was in a film called Making Love. He was also in The Champ with Ricky Schroeder, and he was the narrator of the weirdo Disney horror film Something Wicked This Way Comes, which fucking scared the fuck out of me as a kid.
I read that and watched it several times.
Yeah, I have not seen it in a long time, but I'm really curious to watch it again. So all these characters are scientists of some
also
sort.
For Larry, I don't know if Larry's an insider. I don't know. But he was Grandpa Lansford Ingalls on Little House on the Prairie.
Oh, okay. Larry is an insider, and that's interesting. Larry probably met this guy at one of the cons Larry fucking goes to, although Jeremy Stone died in like 1990, I think. So David Wayne plays Dr. Charles Dutton. You might know him from the Batman series, the 1966 Batman series. He was the Mad Hatter. He was one of Batman's rogues gallery. Dallas, the TV show, and episodes of The Golden Girls. James Olsen plays Dr. Mark Hall, aka Hallmark. He was the priest in Amityville 2: The Possession, which we discussed quite a bit of on our Amityville episode. I guess the second one's very crazy. I still have not seen it yet, but he's the priest in that. He was the general in Commando, and he was in the film Ragtime. Dr. Ruth Levitt, Peter Levitt in the book, as we discussed before, was played by Kate Reed, who I described as a human potato. She's not really a potato. She's just, she's kind of just like this, they definitely didn't go for eye candy, which is fine. She's a good actress. She was in Equus.
I saw that.
I never saw that. That's the one where the kid wants to fuck a horse.
I vaguely remember her too.
Death Ship and Atlantic City. She was in all of those films. Paula Kelly plays the Wildfire nurse Karen Anson. She was in Good Times. She had a role in Kojak and St. Elsewhere. Basically one of these people that a lot of these people in this movie, 70s and 80s TV, they're all over the place.
I have to say, she was pretty hot too.
She was hot. I would have banged. Yeah.
And the old guy thought she was hot as well.
Yes. Yeah. This guy, I'm not even sure if I even know what character this is, but I picked this guy for his name. He played Dr. Robertson, who was the White House science advisor. I think I could picture who this is in the movie.
I think he was the guy with the really chubby face.
I think so. Kermit Murdoch. Kermit Murdoch. Kermit Murdoch was in the penultimate episode of Star Trek, the original series. So the second to last episode of season 3. He was on Kung Fu and the film Rich Man, Poor Man. And then finally, we'll end this off with Frances Reed, who played Clara Dutton, the wife of the Charles Dutton character, who was a fucking stone cold babe. She was like, please don't leave. And he's like, I'll be back, honey. And I'm like, I don't know, man. I might. Yeah, she had that bouffant haircut.
Perfectly coiffed hair.
Yeah. I would have 1971 banged her.
You could probably put a bead of water on her hair and it would have just dripped down.
Rolled right off,
completely
baby.
Intact.
Right off. Here's the interesting factoid about her. She had been in plenty of things, but she played Alice Horton on Days of Our Lives from the first episode in November of 65 until 2007. She, at one time, I can't tell you if this is still a factoid, but it's probably very close. The 5th longest U.S. soap opera running character, 1965 to 2007.
Damn, that's like 42 years.
Yeah, it's a long time. That's a long time. Thank you for doing the math. I wouldn't even have tried that. So there we go. Let's get this thing started. So we're in Piedmont, New Mexico. Right? This thing jumps around. First of all, there's an opening crawl that tries to make you think this really happened, right, Lloyd?
Right, yeah.
Basically says the U.S. government is going to let you in on what happened during the days of blah, blah, blah over the course of 96 hours. Because everything turned out okay, we're allowed to tell you this. The credits are old school, just graphics with a lot of files and stuff.
I like the look of it.
I like it too, but I want to talk about the music. The soundtrack to this movie, and I'm going to use the word not in the way that you might think. It's sonically offensive. Did you feel that?
For sure.
A lot of siren-y noises, a lot of shrill noises. It's like that whole credit scene is almost like pushing you to your boundaries.
And it's hard to even see because you've got all these overlapping things that come.
Yeah.
And the color scheme, it's hard to read the names of the actors and all that. Yeah. It's a disturbing credit scene, but on the other hand, it's pretty cool.
I feel like it was supposed to take you out of your comfort zone.
Yeah. Kind of like some Hitchcock stuff does.
Yeah.
Vertigo and stuff.
It's definitely an odd one. Vertigo, by the way, a film we will be doing later this month over on the Pint Insider for someone very special. We'll talk about it on that episode. So Manster, Piedmont, New Mexico, town of 68 people. We have a military, I guess, presence there checking this place out. What do they kind of discover there?
Yeah,
What's going on?
they're spying on it. It's it's nighttime, so they're using that night vision, and they just see a lot of dead bodies. So they're going to investigate, and they're on the horn with whoever is like mission control. All kinds of people in a room, and there's one guy with the phone, and so yeah, they go and discover that, and you never see it, but there's a lot of static and a lot of yelling, and something happens, and they're no longer on the phone anymore.
Something happens to our military team, and then we kind of get a little bit, you're fed little bits of information through this movie. We see these bodies laid out. We have a flyover by a military jet that uses like thermal vision. And
was that a Warthog?
Was it?
I don't know. It had the engines right up close to the fuselage.
Yeah. So they kind of can see that there's like no life forms there. So then we move on to the next part. This movie jumps back in time a little bit here and there, to kind of explain what we have with this. What is it? It's Project Scoop and Wildfire.
Yeah. So Project Scoop, and I believe the Scoop refers to the satellite itself. When Manchek gets on the phone at one point to say, "Hey, shit's going down," he calls it when Scoop 7 came back.
Right.
So I'm assuming it's the actual satellite name.
Right.
And then Wildfire is the base, the laboratory base.
And we jump back to Dr. Jeremy Stone 2 years prior to this, having a meeting with White House personnel about why they should have this Wildfire base, which we discover through the plot of the film, and we'll get there, is like for the ultimate contagion, right? Like if something comes from space or from somewhere that we can't figure out, they've built this 5-story reverse 5-story underground base that every level you have to go through is like another level of decontamination and disinfection.
Yeah. And
it's so secretive and it's so important that whatever they might find doesn't get out. Manster, what's the final actual answer if this thing gets out? What is it equipped with?
There's a final countdown going on here. It's automatically equipped, so you don't have to like set this. It's automatically set that if it determines that there is a contamination of any sort, it's gonna nuclear explode the whole place.
Yeah, just fucking nuke this place out.
The only way to stop it at that point is to have a special key that a certain somebody gets to keep.
Yeah. So before we get to that point, we have the scene that you get in a lot of these movies where we put the band together, and Jeremy Stone and Dr. Mark Hall, who is a surgeon, and they find Ruth Levitt, who's a doctor of, I don't know, what is she a doctor of?
What is she into? I forget. It's just biological stuff.
They're all specialists. Charles Dutton. The military goes and basically takes them from their homes. They all seem to know about this to an extent, so they've been told about it in the past. We might come to you at some point. And that's what happens. The military comes and says, we need to take your husband. Mrs. Your hair is perfect. And we'll bring him back when we can. And this goes around. So they all kind of get together and end up going out to Nevada to this Wildfire laboratory.
Right.
Before they go to the Wildfire laboratory, Stone and Hall go to the town, okay, to see what has happened.
The town where the military dudes have already died.
Already dead. And this scene's pretty harrowing. They show little kids dead. Show, there's a lot. Now, I want to point this out because I thought this was funny. I read the reason why. This is a G-rated movie. But at the time in 1971, there was some kind of, with the ratings board, there was some kind of back and forth between G and PG, what could get through and what couldn't. I only bring this up because this is G-rated.
I did not know it was G, because there is a scene.
We get titties. First G-rated movie I've ever seen with actually a nice pair of titties, like
nice
a young
pair of dead titties.
Dead titties, but they're not, young lady, not too young. But by the way, hold your horses.
Like 27.
Yeah, and her titties, and then we see like Mark Hall's ass later on, and I'm like,
and we see an old lady hanging, literally hanging by her neck.
We do. There's some violence.
How is any of those things G-rated?
Yeah, this movie's G-rated, and I had said to myself, how did this go? And then I was reading the trivia, and they said that there was this big thing between the ratings board at that point, and they were kind of split. And I think this movie might have been the one where they pushed everything. It should
I'd like
be PG.
to know who was the guy who's like, easy G.
Yeah, this is easy G.
Who was that guy?
Who was it? Rob Halford. We don't need no parental guidance here. Was it Judas Priest? Because there's titties in this movie and it's G-rated. So they check the place out, and they find a few things, Master, besides bodies. But Scoop 7, what is it? What do they find?
So they find this little satellite in the. I don't know, who was the guy? Was he like the sheriff or?
He was like the doctor, I think.
Doctor, yeah, that's it. In his, he's just sitting there in his chair, dead, like everyone else, just dead. It's funny all the positions that different people were dead in.
Yeah,
and I love the little squares and all the little things that popped up on the screen. And he's got this little satellite, not too big. It just looks like a scoop. It just looks like a bowl. It's got some shit in it, and everyone's dead. I did like the scene where he immediately, Dr. Hall, he immediately goes to the doctor sitting dead in his chair and starts unbuckling his pants like he's going to give him a blowjob.
Yeah. And then there's also they find it in multiple of the bodies. What is like the really weird thing about their blood, Master?
The people who do have cuts and big boils or whatever, there's no bleeding going on.
At one point, the doctor's body, I think, it's like sand. It's like red sand.
Yeah. So when he goes to get the doctor, when he's unbuckling his belt, he says to the other guy, "Look at his butt." He's like, "What? All right, this isn't a joking, man." He goes, "I'm not joking." He goes, "If you're dead and you're sitting in that position, the blood's going to pool in your butt." And there should be like purple bruises, but there's nothing there.
Now this butt looks good as fuck.
It's pure as the driven snow.
That's right.
And so he just whips out his scalpel, because I guess when you're in a hazmat suit, it's pretty smart to carry a scalpel.
Yeah.
But he just cuts this guy's wrist right open, and just sand comes out. It's pretty cool.
Fucking
just
maroon sand. Yeah.
Just like on that Star Wars planet.
Yeah. So they figure out this is what's happening here. They find 2 people alive, though. There is an infant they find who's been crying. That's a very big part of the plot. And they find an old man who's a drunk. So those 2 people get, the infant and the old man get whisked away. And then we are told we're going to go to Nevada and go to this Wildfire lab. So we get to the lab, and they're kind of given the rundown of the lab. 5 different levels, and on every level, we're going to do like a whole new disinfection thing until we get to the bottom level, which is storing the virus that they found and the 2 survivors. That's got to be like the cleanest level there is. Now,
how'd you like that 4th level of decontamination with the disco helmet?
Oh, yes.
And basically, once you get to that level, they just burn off the top layer of your skin.
Yes. Yeah. They like slough their skin off. So when they get there, every level is color coordinated. They wear jumpsuits that are color coordinated to them. The 2 team members that wear glasses, their glasses are taken away from them on like level 5 to be treated and not given back to level like 3. I'm telling you right now, I couldn't function without my glasses for 2 whole levels. Like they didn't fight hard enough. But at one point, when they're getting on the elevator to go down, there's a flashing red light, and there's a joke made, and Ruth Levitt kind of makes a joke about how she doesn't like flashing red lights. That's going to be important later on.
Back in my, what's the word?
Her bordello days.
Her bordello days, yeah. As if.
Yeah, really. Yeah. Oh, you know what? Here's $100. I want to spend 2 hours with your finest human potato. I want to know what it's like to get a blowjob from a mashed potato. I doubt it.
Oh,
I doubt
shit.
it. Here, let's talk about the key. Let's talk about the key and
All
the odd man thing, whatever that is.
Basically, the odd man hypothesis. So, and we did see it at some point. It had like a little printout, and they explained it. But the odd man hypothesis is the person who is entrusted with the key that can deactivate the nuclear device. The theory being that an unmarried male is the most dispassionate person, and so is qualified to make the most critical decisions.
Yes, the two other males are married. We met their wives earlier. Kate Levitt is a female, so she's obviously she's hysterical. So Mark Hall, being unmarried, is the only one that can make this decision. Now, they mention on every floor, on every one of these stations, there's a substation.
Except,
there's not on one half of it, right? Like they said, we realize we have to add them in. So they have ones they're adding in, but on every station, he could put a red key in that he's entrusted to that will shut down the nuclear sequence if it gets to the point where the sequence starts. So there's this whole kind of drama. He's got this key on. So like throughout the course of the film. Now, Master, we could jump through how they get decontaminated in different ways. And every level they go down, they've got to burn their little paper suits. Like you said, at one point they slough their skin off.
At one point he's sitting naked in a chair in front of a very reflective screen.
At one point they say, well, we'll go to the cafeteria for some lunch. And all they get is like pills and other weird things. So like, it's very clinical. But we eventually get to the point where we meet up with the two surviving victims of this, and they discover the actual virus itself and what it is. So I'll go through the victims real quick and what we determine about them. They figure out how this virus works. Master will get to that in a little bit, but part of it, how it works is that it kind of works with your cellular and body chemistry. So the reason these two didn't die is the baby is constantly crying while everything happened. And apparently the act of the baby kind of being in this like hyperventilated state of crying kept its blood pH levels off. And so the virus...
You're giving away basically what they discover in the very end.
Okay.
Save the day.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Well, spoiler alert. It all comes down to the blood.
So the old guy drinks Sterno.
Yeah, squeeze.
I guess that used to be a thing. Yeah. Like Sterno, like that's like Sterno. Like you light it up and you heat up, some ham on a tray. That stuff. I guess what you would do is you would squeeze it. I was reading about it. That's why he called it squeeze. Like you would plop it into like a cheesecloth, right? And squeeze it and let the juice drain out of that sterno blob. And then they would mix that with like fruit juice or something. And that's what they would drink.
Yeah.
They call it squeeze.
They call it jungle juice, I guess.
Yeah. Jungle juice. Yeah.
So
it's fucking crazy. Why don't you just drink some alcohol, man?
Yeah. Well, the people like, my sister years ago.
Maybe during Prohibition.
My sister years ago worked at Stop and Shop in the pharmacy, I think, when I was younger. And she said one of the biggest things was like finding empty cough medicine bottles everywhere.
Oh yeah.
The people that can't afford booze or the older drunks would come in, grab a bottle, run down an aisle and fucking guzzle it as fast as they could.
Yeah.
I guess when you're addicted and you're going to drink some squeeze.
I want some squeeze. Give him some squeeze.
Give us some squeeze, baby. So his blood, alcohol and pH balance.
He was acidic.
Is acidic. So he can't catch it either. Now, so that is the answer. We'll get to that later on. That's what it latches onto. But Manster, talk about the scene where they actually find this little rock thing and what's going on with it.
Oh yeah. So are you talking about the little screen thing and you just see so you just see this little form that they're looking at it through this electron microscope, which was not invented, but in the effect in the movie was invented by Douglas Trumbull.
Yes.
He came up with that his fucking self because he doesn't have plans to a real electron microscope. And with those slices, they're looking at it and they see this triangular crystalline shape. And at first, it's just these little green dots, but then you can just see it growing, dividing, mutating. And it's pretty cool. And it just will overtake anything. And basically what it does is, how do they put it? It changes energy to matter and matter to energy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it will live, and this is kind of a point of the movie too. It will live in anything at all. At least that's what they think until this one discovery, which, because was it Kate Levitt, when she's doing her, investigation of all the slides, the one slide that comes up that says like, no life, no life, no life is flashing red. And of course, she gets mesmerized by that because of the epilepsy. So she misses that fact early on.
Right. Master, let's talk about it. You mentioned it earlier on. Let's talk about the monkey. This scene is... I can't... If you and me are thinking of the same thing, if we read the same fact, I can't believe it.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's insane.
One of their laboratories is, this big area. And of course, they've got the cool robotic arms, so they're controlling little big old joysticks and stuff.
Oh yeah.
And meanwhile, these big huge arms are in the middle, manipulating. They're opening up the little cover which holds the Andromeda strain in it, and then there's monkeys and rats in cages that are sealed off. And the first one they bring is a monkey, and they take the cage, they unseal the cage, and sure enough, the rat lays down pretty soon. I hope I said rat first.
Yeah.
Anyhow, then they get to a monkey. So, what are they? Remus monkeys? Is that what you call those? Rhesus monkeys?
Yeah.
And you're watching the movie, and they got this cute ass little rhesus monkey. And as soon as they pull the side door up to expose it, he just starts like pulsating around and his like got quirky movements, and he's grabbing the bars and he's slunking down and he's trying to bite at the bar, and he eventually just succumbs and he just lays down and he's all twitching and stuff. And you're watching this and you're like, how the fuck did they get a monkey to act that good?
In 1971, I said to myself, this can't be CGI. This can't be some kind of motion cap, or it can't be like a robot of some sort. I'm like, they didn't kill the monkey, did they? Oh.
Right. I looked it up. As soon as that scene ended, I looked that up right away. I'm like, what the fuck with the monkey?
Well, what the fuck with the monkey, Manster?
Well, first of all, the American Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals sanctioned the scene. Okay? The monkey was not hurt, but it was suffocated to death and then revived.
Now, I didn't watch it, but I didn't watch it again. But I guess after the monkey collapses, before the scene changes, you can see a shadow moving on the screen towards the monkey.
Oh, I didn't notice.
That apparently was the monkey resuscitator, whoever the fuck had to resuscitate that monkey. But they, with the fucking, like, this will never go over today, by the way. 1971 ASPCA played fast and hard with the rules. With the support of the ASPCA, they fucking killed that monkey.
Yeah. I don't know if he was clinically dead yet, but that fucking monkey went through the pain of dying.
Yeah.
Suffocated by carbon dioxide, by the way. It was revived, and I guess, the guy you just mentioned, somebody was off camera wearing scuba gear, so he wouldn't suffocate himself with another oxygen source. And obviously, it was done in one take. This is not something you're doing twice.
Yeah. You think Robert Wise, like that night, had to cover a shift at one of his Pizza Huts and got into a argument with a customer, and the customer's like, I just want my damn pizza right. And he's like, you listen to me. I've had a rough day. I killed a rhesus monkey today, you motherfucker. I'm not afraid to stab you.
I think so.
And then the customer's like, are you the director of West Side Story? He's like, get the fuck out of my Pizza Hut.
Sound of Music? Yeah, so that's the fucking monkey scene, and it's crazy, and it's so realistic.
It's absolutely nuts. So they start to realize how this virus, this alien contagion is acting. And the next thing they realize is that it is starting to transform itself. As Lloyd said, it could live in anything. It's starting to transform its properties to where it's starting to destroy non-organic matter, specifically the gaskets that are keeping this place very, sanitary.
There's one other thing we've never even mentioned yet. So there is Directive 712 from the president. So that's what those two advisors were discussing earlier. And nobody understood, like, why didn't you just go in there and fucking bomb that town, like, right from the start? And like, well, we're going to bomb it, but we're going to let you do this first, so to see if we could learn anything. And while the whole team was saying, hey, look, this thing's going to get out of control, you got to bomb it. So they convinced these advisors to go to the president and say, we need to bomb it. President says, okay, we're going to do it. And that's when they discovered, shit, this thing like creates energy from matter. So if you bomb it, you're just giving it a place to thrive.
Right. Because the pilot who goes to bomb it, his mask starts to disintegrate. Right. He starts to lose pieces of his life support system. So yeah, you're right. Like, they know now that if this thing gets out and if you bomb it and the energy pushes it out into the wind, there's like almost an 80s computer moment where they're like, it's a matter of days before it just wipes out all life on Earth.
This was more 70s computer.
70s computer.
Everything read out as like zeros and ones and numbers and figures and stuff. There's
a repeated failure code of 601 that we get in this movie. And I read that the reason that is 601 is that in the first lunar landing, when the lunar module was landing on the moon, it had a code of 1202, which was something to do with like too many computations being run at once. So they just divided that in half and made that 601
that's cool.
For this movie. Yeah.
So what happens after that? We're at the point now where
the gaskets start to disintegrate, and they know that then the nuclear shutdown starts to turn itself on.
Right. So Dr. Charles Dutton, he's alone in a room doing, like, was it in the mortuary or morgue or something, doing some stuff?
Yeah. He's working by himself, but the room is leaking, right?
Right. And this is when they discover all these things, and with the pH of the blood and everything. Right. And that it's also disintegrating rubber and seals and plastic and stuff.
They're telling him from outside of the room that you're going to have to let this happen, and to hyperventilate to try to stop it. So, and he's like, don't play with my life. He's like 82, and he's like, I've still got 4 good years in me, you motherfuckers.
He goes, because they tell him, all right, you got to get your blood alkaline up. And so you have to breathe, like hyperventilate, but not too much, because you don't want to pass out, because then you'll breathe normal and then you'll succumb to it. So, how much can an 82-year-old guy breathe really fast anyway?
Yeah. Kate Levitt has another shock of what do we call it again? Epilepsy. She sees some red lights. This is all going on. And at the same time, they start to realize that the gaskets are all breaking down. So this failsafe is turning on. So they feel like they can stop it because they figure out the pH level thing, but they also have to stop the nuke from going off, because if it goes off and this thing is not inert, it's going to be worse, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And there's another thing, because so now, like you said, it's sort of inert now, while it's mutating. So it's affecting like plastics and stuff like that. It is no longer, how do they say? It's no longer harmful to humans, right?
Right.
That was part of all the changes and the mutations. There's a lot going on. There's a lot of information going on in this movie.
They end up beating it, the human component of it, but it's moving quickly.
Yeah.
And so Mark Hall has to get to one of the substations, but they're all like, all the ones on the side he's on are the ones that are under construction. Ends up kind of like crawling into like this like control room where there's a giant ladder. And he starts to climb this ladder to get up to the next level and come out on the side where he could turn this thing off. But unfortunately for him, nobody warned him about the fucking laser beams.
Well, I guess Yeah, he's going right up the core. The lasers are there for escaped animals.
Yeah.
As if escaped rats can climb a ladder?
He
I'm
gets
not sure.
blasted in the cheek with a laser beam. And you know what movie it reminded me of? Remember Runaway with Tom Selleck? Do you remember at the end he got lasered in the face by those little spider robots? And it was like real black and a big cut. It looked just like that. He gets blasted right in the face. Oh, fuck. Runaway was directed by Michael Crichton. So maybe that was a thing that he carried along.
There.
But yeah, so he gets blasted. He just makes it up in time, and with like seconds left.
Going on. You know, it starts at 5 minutes, and now he's got like 30 seconds once he gets up there. But everything's so distorted because these lasers really fucked up his perception.
That laser to the face fucked him hard. He's like sitting down, holding his face. Meanwhile, it's like 10 seconds left, and I'm on the edge of my seat, going like, "Fucking A, dude!" And finally, he gets that
the key in, but then he sits down to relax.
He does. He puts this little flat key in, and then he sits down, and then I think he gets enough energy up to turn it. And he turns it, and and it shuts the nuclear bomb from going off. And I think at that point we kind of stop right there, and then end up in the hospital room with him.
Yeah,
at the end,
kind of over, and then he's recovering, and then they sort of fill in the gaps for him because he passed out.
And the gaps are essentially that it got out. Like the fucking the Andromeda strain got out into the atmosphere, but because they've realized the whole thing with the pH balances, and I had to read how this all worked out. They're showing him how it's going over the Pacific Ocean, and then I guess that they somehow seeded clouds.
Yeah, to make it rain, so it would just go into the ocean,
push it into the ocean.
Yeah.
So they created weather basically. And then, say, okay, well, everything's going to be okay. It's going to push into the ocean. And it kind of ends where, Dr. Stone is giving his dissertation and, could this happen again? And then we get at the very end, we get like, the 601 message.
Yeah. Cause you do see the green things come up on the screen. They totally fill the screen and then 601 again.
Right. So it's probably not over. And if you're interested, if you've never seen the Andromeda Strain, also, I think in 2008, there was an AMC miniseries starring Benjamin Bratt and I think Ricky Schroeder.
I think I started to watch that, but I never finished it.
Yeah. But this was the 1971 version.
One other thing that came up in the movie, which I was surprised never went anywhere, and I think it would go somewhere nowadays if it were, as it was Levitt and Dr. Sutton, Charles Sutton. Dutton. Rock.
I kept thinking of that.
Yeah.
You're so 5 foot nothing.
Because at one point they put this computer generated thing saying what areas it would cover, and they're looking at it and they're like, "Oh my God, that is a biological warfare map." And those two themselves say, "Hey, wait a fucking second. This whole project, this whole reason for being here is for biological warfare."
Right.
And then Stone is just like, no, that's not true. But it is true. It's totally true because that's already like scoop 7.
Right.
So they've been trying to, get some kind of biological weapon that they could use. And it was such a small part of the plot in the movie, but I don't know if it was, more in the book or what. But
scoop it out of the sky, bring it home. Yeah. Yep. All right. So that's 1971's The Andromeda Strain. Thank you, Pint Insider Chris Ramirez. We hope we did one of your favorite movies a little bit of justice. Let's talk about the box office.
What's in the box? What's in the fucking box?
All right. So 1971, usual rules don't apply. Box Office Mojo doesn't go down that far, but I got the top 5 films from that year.
I do have some numbers if you want them.
Okay. All right. Well, let me give what I've got, and then if you want to jump in. So first of all, in 1971, here are your top 5 films. Number 5, making a staggering $19.7 million, was the return of Sean Connery to the James Bond franchise, Diamonds Are Forever. Number 4, at $20.5 million, was Summer of 42. Number 3, at $26.3 million, and also winning Best Picture of the Year, was The French Connection.
Ah.
Number 2 at $32.5 million, Billy Jack. And at number 1 at $40.5 million, it was Fiddler on the Roof. If you're wondering where Andromeda Strain ended up, on a $6.5 million budget, it made $12.3 million, bringing it to the 16th highest film of 1971. Master, do you have anything to pepper onto the top of that?
Nope, you had everything that I had.
Beautiful. All right. That's the box office. Let's get down to the nitty gritty. Let's rate this fucking thing.
Now! What's it gonna be, Doc? Huh? What's it gonna be?
0 to 5. 0 being the worst thing ever, 5 being the best thing ever. Quarter and half scale optional. I'll go first. Take a piece of bread, white bread, toast it. Dry. Rub the butter knife across it so it makes that scraping sound. Take some not honey ham or not take some white turkey, put it on there. Put the other piece of toast on top, bite it, chew it. I guarantee you're going to like it because it's not offensive. It's nourishment. But there's not a lot of excitement there. This is how I would describe the Andromeda Strain, the film. Now, that being said, it's well made. The premise is very interesting. I was very interested once you jumped into the actual Wildfire and how it worked, all the different levels. It's a 2 hour and 10-minute long movie that feels longer. It's a lot of dialogue, which is fine. It's slow moving. That being said, it's not a bad movie. It's just very no frills, very dry. But it also kind of birthed, I think, a certain genre of thriller. Think of Outbreak, think of films like Contagion, which I've never seen, but these movies where a virus breaks out and now, we kind of see things from the government / doctors' response. It kind of started that formula, to a sense. Michael Crichton always, his stuff is always good. It's not all corn syrup poppy like Jurassic Park. This goes to show. And he wrote this when he was a medical student based on a conversation he had with somebody about the possibilities of alien, viruses. So for that reason alone, I'm going to give this a 3. I think this is a solid film. I'm glad that I saw it. I can't imagine a world in which I'd ever pop this in again. But that's just me. I've said it before. I like Schwarzenegger stuff. I like guns. I like tits. I like, you know what I mean? There are tits in this. So thank you for that, for a G-rated movie. But you know what I mean? I'm just trying to say, I might not be the hoity-toity cinephile guy. But I'm glad I saw this because I think, it definitely wasn't what I thought it was going to be. And there are the Douglas Trumbull stuff. It's really incredible to see a guy who, basically is like an icon in his field, kind of not get his start, but something he did early on. But yeah, so I enjoyed this movie. It's a 3. It's just not one like Master said. He's got the Arrow 6-disc Blu-ray with a soundtrack that comes with it, and
oh god, no!
it comes with a dead rhesus monkey that you could resuscitate yourself.
The little blow you blow in.
Yeah. He got it at the Great Archive down there in Bridgeport, Vinegar Syndrome's flagship store. He got it there. Go get it there yourself. Master, what do you give 1971's The Andromeda Strain?
All right, so it is everything you said. All right, it is white meat, turkey on white bread. It's very dry. I remember liking it as a young man. I remember I vaguely remember reading the book, and I just liked it as a kid. It was so thought provoking to me back then. I did buy the Arrow, and I watched it when we did No Pint November. I watched it early November. I was like, oh, yeah, I remember this. This is good stuff. And then I went to watch it again this past weekend. Couldn't watch it. Didn't have the time. So I went to watch it last night, and I fucking fell asleep. Look, this movie will put you to sleep if you're not paying attention and trying to stay engaged with it.
Yeah, you might need to let me put it a little bit more straight. You might need to do a couple rails of coke right before you start this movie. You might want to do a bump or two to keep your heart going.
Yeah, a bump or two. So I did watch it again, the highlights today, right before we recorded. And damn it, I still like the movie. All right, I'm going to score it higher than you. It is a bit nostalgic for me because I do remember watching it. But I do want to mention a couple of the maybe some movies that it influenced, right? Outbreak, Contagion. Remember those?
Absolutely.
Life.
Yes, we're going to do Life.
That was pretty cool.
I like that movie, and I always think about doing it. And yeah, I want to do that one.
Yeah, and then for like stylistic and sort of thematic stuff, you have things like Alien for sure.
Yeah,
The Thing, even 12 Monkeys.
Rogue One. As weird as it sounds, the ladder scene at the end, where he's going up the ladder and the lasers are shooting at him, reminded me of the scene in Rogue One where they have to get the file at the end.
Yep.
Even though the odds of that being like a thought in their head is probably pretty low, I feel like maybe, they knew of Andromeda Strain and said, okay, this is kind of like, very similar to that vibe. Right. Yeah.
And then lastly, I'm going to say for like realism, intellectual approach and science and stuff, I'm going to say it influenced The Martian, Interstellar, Arrival, stuff like that. And these are all good movies that I've pretty much said here. This is definitely a landmark film. I read that they called it a science fiction thriller. It's not so thrilling. There are some moments that are suspenseful. It's not really a thriller, but it is visually impressive and definitely thought-provoking. I think I like it. I just really like it. I'm not going to go overboard on it. So, good choice going first.
I was going to say, because if you went first in this, you'd give it a 7.
Yeah.
Right? You'd be like, a 7.
But I am going to give it a 4. 4 out of 5.
All right. Fair. I would not tell people to check this movie out. I just feel like you have to have that warning at the beginning. It's a 1971 film. It's very much a hard science fiction movie. There's no lights, there's no lightsabers, there's no phaser guns. This is a movie. The only thing that makes it science fiction is technically that the virus is from space. If this was a film about people, this could be a film about people studying, AIDS or some other, earthbound disease that we really have. It's just that you get that level of it, but it doesn't jump heavily into any of that stuff. We don't see any Martians. We don't see any. So yeah, I give it a 3, but again, it's a well-made movie. Definitely interesting. All right. So that is 1971's The Andromeda Strain. Again, thank you, Chris, for suggesting that. We have some more cool episodes coming up this month from you folks out there. The only thing I got to tell you right now is we dropped all the social medias. So it's going to be easier for the Manster to explain to you where to follow us on those, because we're only on Instagram anymore. And because of the way I did things, and it's a long story, our old Instagram page is gone, but I restarted one using my old personal page that I hadn't used in forever. So instead of at the Pint Podcast, that's gone. If you have not seen us or been able to follow us, you go to at the Pint Pop, P-O-P. And that's where we are. We still put some stuff up there, funny videos here and there. But that's where you'll find us. Facebook. Thank you, everybody that was part of the Facebook community, top fans, people checking in. But I just got to the point in my life where I don't want to deal with any of that shit anymore. And for years, I was saying, when the podcast ends, I'm going to get rid of all my Facebook. But I just said, fuck it. Let's just end it anyway. Let's just end all of the Facebook social media, stuff like that. And Threads, we were on there. I got rid of that too because I never used it. So those Facebook might still be floating around, but nobody's manning it. So if you want to find us on the only one we're doing, it's Instagram at the Pint Pop. But here's the more important part, Manster. Tell them, if anybody out there wants to be a Pint Insider, how they can do that.
Well, they can go to patreon.com/the Pint. And we have still 2 tiers, right?
2 tiers, $2.50 and $4.
$2.50 and $4. And I don't know. Are we doing videos?
Well, we haven't. So the $4 tier, I'm trying to figure out how to revamp to get some stuff out there. We were doing monthly live shows, and in all honesty, it just had become hard for me to keep up on it. I didn't get rid of the $4 tier because a lot of people were like, I want to support you a little bit more than $2.50. So we will do things that are specific for that tier, starting in 2025. But I just got to figure out what we're going to do. So you could jump in right at the $2.50 tier if you want, and you're going to get at least usually 1, if not 2 extra episodes every single month.
Maybe we'll do some, who knows, comedy shows, burlesque.
You want to?
Whatever. We can go anywhere with this.
I'll shoot some ping pong balls out of my pussy if you want. I'll do it. Swear to God I will.
And I'll catch them.
Yeah.
In my mouth, right?
Swear to God.
There you go.
Swear to God.
Gross.
All right, Manster. I think that's it for us, right?
Yep.
All right. Until next time. See ya.
601.
601. 601.
It's over, Johnny. It's over!
Nothing is over! Nothing! You just don't turn it off!